Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. So, crafting event is coming up guys fairly soon, at the start of April probably. We don't know any information about it, but we should see the start of the dev blogs about it fairly soon. Maybe next week or something, I don't know yet, but still. I wanted to make a list of 4 aircraft that would be perfect to be added as a crafting event. Why? Because most of them would not that good, or they are very unique in a sense of they would be kind of a collector item, that can be interpreted as a good thing or as a bad thing depending on your opinion. I think the Tech Tree is most of the time, 90% of the time, made for aircraft that existed in real life and, it was in service, with some, deviations from that for aircraft that were almost at service, or at least aircraft that need to be added to the game for it to be actually balanced. For example, the AJ on the Japanese Tech Tree. It is a problematic thing, but I still agree that it needs to be there, right? Because Japan doesn't have too much stuff to actually be added until much more modern aircraft. I would still think that the F-15 would be a better option, but still, we're not far from that anyway, right? But that's just an example. And these 4 aircraft that I wanted to talk about include this type of thing. They are either prototypes that were, not even used or made in very small numbers, or they were aircraft that were in large production, but they were never, very good at a meta like War Thunder. So that's the idea, right? And the first thing, let's talk about 4 of them. The first one is the F-20 Tiger Shark, an aircraft that a lot of people love. It is basically a super, if you will, F5. It was initially even called the F5G, but it is a light fighter based off of the F5, but with a modernization in mind. It was basically to go into this type of realm of, F-16 kind of situation, right? So aircraft type, right? So F-16s, light fighters, right? That had not a lot of range in the radar, but can do BVR to a certain extent. They are very nimble and light and can do multi-role missions. That would be the main, objective of an aircraft like this. It is an aircraft that has a 1.1 power to weight mass, or power to weight, thrust to weight number, right? So it is very, very high powered for its weight. Empty weight of this aircraft is 5,300 kilograms, man. It's really light. It has not a very strong engine. It is a 404 General Electric, right? So it has 76 kilonewtons. They are normally used in conjunction, for example, in the F-18. But still, it is an engine that for such a light aircraft, it becomes very powerful, right? So yeah, very high power to weight. And yeah, the radar would be a little bit, I don't know how good it is, because the information that you normally receive on this type of radar is that it has 150 kilometers, but it probably doesn't have that. It probably detects a targeting, a fighter target, a sized target for around 75 kilometers or something like that, 70 kilometers. So yeah, very similar to something like, probably like a big tiger fighter, but still. Probably something along the lines of a MiG-29 or something like that, right? Maybe a little bit less. A little bit, or comparable to the F-16 even, if you will. The ability to carry 4 AIM-7s would be there, and even MRAMs in the future if they want to add it at a certain point. AIM-9s obviously, so you can carry, for example, 6 missiles with 4 being AIM-7s and 2 AIM-9s. You can also carry Mavericks and Harpo anti-ship missiles, laser-guided bombs and stuff. Obviously, I don't think I have to check if he has internal guidance to actually be able to guide themselves, because in War Thunder we don't have buddy lasing. But still, it would be using the Mark 80 series of bombs and stuff like that, and also the twin 20mm M39 cannons as well, you know, so very, very cool. And yeah, I think it's a very cool aircraft. It would be like a Super F5. It would be an F5E that has more power, a way better radar, BVR capability, and missiles. If they add the M7F, for example, the 9L or something even maybe worse than that, it would be not even be a top tier aircraft. I think it would be like an 11.3, 11.7. So a perfect addition for such a crafting event. It would be a very cool aircraft that a lot of people would get it, and it would be a pricey aircraft in the market as well afterwards. The second one that we're going to talk about is the Mirage 4K. We already did a video on it. It's an aircraft that was supposed to be the heavy fighter, quote-unquote, version of the Mirage 2000. It's not exactly that, but it was basically a counter or a similar type of design as an F-15 and Su-27. Would be like a heavy fighter that carry a lot of missiles. I even did some mistakes talking about the amount of missiles that the Mirage 4000 actually carried on the other video that I told you guys about. But it could carry more missiles than that. I think it's like 12 missiles or something crazy like that. Could carry Magic 2s and Super 530Fs. Uses the RDM radar, which is a worse radar than the Mirage 2000. So if they don't stretch it out or anything like that, it would be worse than the Mirage 2000C as for BVR, right? So it would be more of a dogfighting capable aircraft with a limited BVR capabilities using the Super 530F, which is a very bad missile just due to the fact that it doesn't do anything against chaff, so it just goes for the chaff like it's food, right? So yeah, a very interesting aircraft with a very, very good power to weight as well. Very good climb rate. I mean, it would be, the performance of it is amazing. So it would be a very, very cool aircraft, but only one built, I mean, limited. So that's probably why it would fit as a crafting event vehicle as well. The third one is another American one that I think it's a very cool one actually. And it is the F-16-79. An aircraft that was made to be basically a cheaper version of the F-16 to be sold abroad, right? And the idea of it, nobody liked the aircraft because it was kind of bad, but I think it would be a very cool aircraft as well. I mean, it would be basically a tuned down version of the F-16. The main feature of it, the main difference would be the engine, which uses the normal J79, not normal, but because it is heavily modified from the original J79s, it is more like the J79 on the Kafir, but it is using a J79, a GE engine, so it is kind of underpowered a little bit, and it consumes a lot of fuel, so it's not the greatest thing ever, right? But it was a crazy idea that they actually tried to sell to some countries. The idea was eventually dropped out with the favor of the normal F-16s being sold after the Reagan administration was elected, right? So it has an interesting story behind it. It's an aircraft that would be very similar in many instances to the normal F-16s, but at the same time it would be a tuned down version of it. So it would be worse in turning, worse in acceleration. It would be a lower BR probably. You know, overall it would be a very limited aircraft compared to the F-16A, right? But a very interesting addition and an aircraft that was meant to be used by many countries that eventually it was left out. So that's another aircraft that I think it would be cool. And the last one that we're going to talk about, obviously I had to talk about this aircraft, is the MiG-25P. Not the PD and PDS, because I think the PD and PDS should be in the tech tree, but the MiG-25P from 1969 with no flares, no short IR missiles, just the old Smersh radar, which is very bad compared to the older, newer RP-25, right? It is just a limited aircraft in many instances. I mean, you have to remember that when this aircraft actually entered in service, the most advanced aircraft that the US had was the F-4E, without flares, without the Agile Wiggle package. So yeah, it is an aircraft from that era, right? So it would be limited, obviously, like any late 60s aircraft would. And it would be a lower VR, probably, I don't know, 10.7 maybe, or something like that, maybe even lower. I mean, you would have the acceleration and the speed, but everything else would be kind of bad. The radar is limited for a top tier aircraft, right? The missiles, it would be just the normal R40s, not the RDs and TD variants, so the range is limited as well. They turn basically the same, but the range is a little bit more limited. Only for missiles, no cannon, so a very limited aircraft. They have to watch out if you're going to add something like this, because it is an aircraft that it would tend to be difficult to fly. And I know a lot of people would like to fly it, and it would be bad. It would be just hard to learn. So I don't know, maybe the PD variant can be added as a crafting event, but I really think that the Tech 3 version should be the PD or PDS, and then the normal P should be the crafting event, and it would be very, very cool. I mean, it's a piece of history. Back in that time, it was a very iconic aircraft, and it still is. It is, if I'm not mistaken, it is one of the fastest aircraft ever made. I have to look it up, the records, but I don't know if it's the second one behind the SR-71, or is it the first one, but the SR-71 could fly faster. I have to check that, but anyway, it is an aircraft that, even though it would be limited due to its technology, I mean, it's a late 60s aircraft, and it's not going to be fighting late 60s aircraft for most of the time. It will fight F-4Es from the late 70s, right, and F-14s and stuff like that, but it would be still cool to have it, even if it's bad. And I think it would be a very good aircraft in the sense of value, and just for the sheer icon, the icon that it is, right? So these are my 4 ideas that I think crafting event aircraft for kind of a top tier or higher tiers of the game would be like. Let me know in the comments what you think would be a good idea for crafting event vehicles. We should start to see fairly soon the new vehicles to be added. Hopefully one of these are in the list. And yeah, guys, basically this is it. Make sure to subscribe, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. See you.